What's up guys, David here, and year after year, Samsung releases two different variants of their flagship smartphone. They're really the only ones who do this, where in some countries like the US and Canada, they equip their phones with Qualcomm's chips, which in this case is a Snapdragon 855, and then in most other countries around the world, they equip their phones with their own in-house chips, this year being the Exynos 9820. Now, for the most part, Samsung tries to keep the two different versions of their phones as equal as possible. However, sometimes that isn't always the case. We had to call them out a few years ago when the Exynos variant was just way better, but as of late, they've been pretty good about it. That said, these are two completely different chipsets. There's only so much you can do to make them perform the same. So we have the PhoneBuffstyle battery test underway right now. We'll be uploading that shortly, so be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss out on that. But in today's video, we're going to be testing the performance or the speed on both of these variants to see if there actually is a difference, and if so, which one is actually faster. So those awesome 3D graphics are part of the new, completely free-to-play game from the sponsor of today's video in Raid, Shadow Legends. This game has an amazing storyline, giant boss fights, and hundreds of champions to collect and customize. Just look at the detail on these champions. Raid is getting big real fast with an upcoming special launch tournament with some crazy prizes. And they're hooking it up for those of you who download the game using only my link in the description to get 50,000 silver immediately and a free champion. Alright, you know the drill. We'll kick things off by starting the stopwatches on each phone and then jumping into the first row, where the Snapdragon variant of the S10 gets to step over the Exynos variant in Facebook, but both phones load up Starbucks at nearly identical rates. We'll see if there's any difference here in Microsoft Word, where each phone will have to load up the same 500-page document. And it looks like the Snapdragon variant of the S10 did load that app just a hair quicker, allowing it to slightly improve on its lead as both phones wrap up with Excel at nearly identical rates and move on to the second row, where I think we'll begin to notice more of a difference between the two, if there actually is a difference, with Snapseed testing how quickly each phone can export an edited photo, where it looks like the Snapdragon 855 variant of the S10 does complete that task at a faster rate, pushing it further ahead as we move on to the video exporting portion of this test, where once again the Snapdragon 855 variant of the S10 outperforms its Exynos 9820 counterpart, giving it the biggest lead it's had in this test so far. We'll see if the Exynos variant can make a comeback here in the browser test. And no, the Snapdragon variant was faster at loading up the Google Trends website as well, putting it in a position to run away with it here in the gaming row. Now, obviously, sometimes there's going to be slight differences in how quickly a phone will load up a certain app like Facebook, since different content can be displayed. But that's why we always run multiple trials for every smartphone that we test, and it's why we test so many apps, so that way one app can't make all of the difference. However, in all of our trial runs, we did find that the Snapdragon variant of the S10 was just a bit snappier in both the first and the second rows, and as you can see here in the third row of games, it's the same exact story. The Snapdragon 855 variant loaded every game in the gaming row at a faster rate, allowing it to pull a full app ahead as it begins working on ESPN, with the Exynos variant finally joining it in the last row and loading Spotify. So it wasn't a big advantage in any one app, but a small advantage in all the apps that allowed the Snapdragon variant of the S10 to finish the first lap first with a time of 2 minutes and 2 seconds, which is 10 seconds better than the 2 minutes and 12 seconds it took the Exynos variant to do the same. The Exynos variant did seem to stutter a bit there while reopening Amazon, so while I don't think that any of these phones will have issues keeping all of the apps open in the second lap, I do think it's worth paying attention to the responsiveness of each phone as we quickly switch from app to app. So far, the Snapdragon variant has been pretty responsive in every app, which allows it to finish the second lap in just 36 seconds with a total time of 2 minutes and 39, while the Exynos variant stuttered again there while exiting the camera app and moving into Excel, pushing it even further behind with the phone taking an extra 3 seconds to complete the second lap, even though it had all the apps technically open, completing the test with a total time of 2 minutes and 51 seconds. Making the winner and the faster Galaxy S10, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 variant. Anyways, that is it for me in this video. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the very next episode.